responses after I run in 3 sound bites from the new president. Soundbite number 1, go.
The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. The cry for survival comes from the planet itself. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat.
Now, is that domestic terrorism, does that include Antifa and the Black Lives Matter movement? You see, if you're going to do the unity thing, you've got to put all the hate groups into one pot. But he didn't do that, did he? Soundbite number 2, go.
Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured.
Okay, does that mean no more anonymous sources in the press to destroy you, Mr. Biden, or your predecessor, Donald Trump? What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, I mean, I'm a guy who deals in facts, so we must reject a culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured. All right, so that's propaganda you're talking about, right? So where is that propaganda? Where does it lie? Is it Fox News? Is it CNN? Where is it? We don't get that. We don't get anything specific. And the final soundbite, go.
Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward.
Now, that was the best part of this speech, because it's true. If you look at the history of this country, we have always turned wrongs around. Not perfectly, and it takes a while to do that. Slavery is a perfect example. It took 100 years for African Americans to get parity of opportunity in this country. It happened, but it took a long time. Depression took 12 years to turn it around. Okay, so summing up, whoever wrote Biden's speech wasn't going to be specific about anything, and that's a hallmark of Biden's campaign. He never says, well, this is what I'm going to do. All he had to say today would have been, I would like the people who want to impeach Donald Trump to stand down. I don't think that's necessary for our country going forward. I want to bring unity with the 74 million people who voted for Mr. Trump. I want to be respectful to them. I want their president as well. So therefore, I'm calling for this thing to go away, this impeachment. Now, that would have taken courage, and that would have put Joe Biden into the history books. But he didn't do it. I don't think he's capable of doing it. I don't think he's a courageous man. I've never seen him do anything courageous, and I'm not an ideologue. I'm not coming at it from a party point of view or any of that. I'm going to give him a chance. But in his entire career, I've never seen him do anything courageous. Now, I might have missed it. And if you've seen it, please write to me, bill@BillO'Reilly.com. Now, the reaction to the speech was from the media. It's the greatest speech since Lincoln's second inaugural address. That's malice toward none. The greatest speech ever. Roll it.
I thought it was a great speech. I've been listening to these inaugural addresses since 1961, John F. Kennedy, Ask Not. I thought this was the best inaugural address I ever heard.
Okay. Now, this is speculation, and it might not apply to Mr. Wallace. But it's hard for me to believe as a historian that anyone would take that point of view. However, you must understand when politicians and media people say things, they have an agenda. It is very important for certain news agencies to have access to President Biden. Very important. Now, Mitch McConnell is playing that game too. He wants to be Biden's pal because he wants the Republicans to have a semblance of power. So that's why you're seeing McConnell slam Trump. Again, I'm not telling you anything specific here because it wouldn't be fair of me to do that. I am telling you that when you hear things like that that don't quite add up, there's usually a reason they're being said. All right, let's get back to the violence. Now, this was hyped by the media that there was going to be violence on Inauguration Day by deranged Trump supporters, and white supremacists, and militias, and all of those people. They were going to go wild. Well, they didn't go wild. And here's what I said on January 12th. Go. FBI says there are going to be attacks everywhere on Inauguration Day. I would have liked to see the FBI say, hey, we could have some trouble at the state capitol in Washington, D.C., the national capital. Maybe we'll put the guard out there. But the FBI didn't do that. Didn't have any warning about that. But now, on Inauguration Day, all these right-wing goons are going to come out and cause trouble. And they'll be heavily armed. Do I believe that? No. That's why you're watching me right now, listening to me on the radio right now. That's why you're BillO'Reilly.com premium and concierge members. All right, Donald Trump. So he takes off in the morning. He made a mistake by not explaining why he did not go to the inauguration. All he had to say was, look, I don't want to be a distraction. And he would have been had he gone. Of course, everyone would have known that. Would have been tension in the gallery. So he could have said, look, I'm not going because of that. But he didn't say that because he doesn't listen to me. Anyway, he gave a speech at Andrews Air Force Base before he departed for Palm Beach. I got 2 sound bites from the speech for you. Roll the first one.
We must never forget that while Americans will always have our disagreements, we are a nation of incredible, decent, faithful, and peace-loving citizens who all want our country to thrive and flourish and be very, very successful and good. We are a truly magnificent nation. All Americans were horrified by the assault on our capital. Political violence is an attack on everything we cherish as Americans. It can never be tolerated. Now more than ever, we must unify around our shared values and rise above the partisan rancor and forge our common destiny.
All right, that was nice. That was fine. Does President Trump believe that? Yeah, to some extent. But I believe he sees himself as a victim. Second soundbite, roll it.
At the center of this heritage is also a robust belief in free expression, free speech, and open debate. Only if we forget who we are and how we got here could we ever allow political censorship and blacklisting to take place in America. It's not even thinkable. Shutting down free and open debate violates our core values and most enduring traditions. In America, we don't insist on absolute conformity or enforce rigid orthodoxies and punitive speech codes. We just don't do that.
All right, now, this is the most important part of the day. Trump is condemning the censorship that took him off Twitter. Biden, if you noticed, was condemning false information. not exactly justifying the social media companies that are practicing censorship. Not exactly, but close. Those are the two positions. Which will prevail? It's going to be a battle. All right, at the Trump speech in Andrews Air Force Base were his family, Mark Meadows, Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, who wrote that speech you just heard, Kash Patel, Congressman Ronnie Jackson from... That's what I would like to see, because the haters have to be held to account. And on the subject of the haters, here's a reaction to President Trump leaving office.
The disgraced 45th President of the United States and First Lady Melania Trump walking to Marine One for their last ride on Marine One ever.
He looks small. He just looks like a small man. And that is exactly the way that he has handled his presidency since he lost. And he just has appeared smaller and smaller and less courageous.
There was no word of comfort for the 400,000 families who have lost someone to this virus. There was no word of compassion for them. He leaves tomorrow at dawn, slinking out before the inauguration of the man who soundly beat him. He sneaks out early tomorrow as the only president in living memory to face the legitimate prospect of post-presidential conviction in the Senate and a lifetime ban on holding office and potential federal and state criminal charges in the courts. Other than that, how was the play, Mr. President? Was it worth it?
You see, now, she hates Trump, and she's happy about hating Trump. And the others fall into that category as well. And there are legions of these people. Now, the COVID death rate in the United States, 412,000. If President Trump is responsible for all of those deaths, I think he might have been impeached because of that, right? Because that's what the hate Trump media put on him in the election. Trump is responsible for the 400,000 deaths in the USA. Well, if that's true, would you impeach him for that? Of course, it wasn't true. Now, I have a soundbite from January 22nd, 2020. I'm not going to play it. I'll post it on BillO'Reilly.com. I was the first national anchorman, as you may know, to warn about COVID. We're proud of that. This is what we do here. We're ahead of the story. Our predictions are 90% correct. And when we're wrong, is usually a reason. Okay? A reason that we're wrong. I do believe, because I know a lot of people who lost loved ones because of COVID, that this is probably the worst thing that's happened in my lifetime, because so many people have suffered under this, and it cost President Trump re-election. COVID beat him. COVID beat him. Because there were enough people that bought into it's Trump's fault, and enough people who said, I am terrified of this. It's not getting any better. And I'm going to vote just for the other guy because we need something different. Now, if that vaccine had been announced before Election Day, remember, Pfizer had it. They knew it was there, but they didn't say anything. Trump would have won. But because they held that back, he lost. This is my opinion, and my opinion only, but I think it's right. The vaccine distribution will be Biden's first big test. And we'll see a month from now if things are better. I hope they are. Stay in history, January 20th, 1945, FDR inaugurated for the fourth time. Fourth time. He was very, very sick. His